for joining me today. My name is Caitlin, I'm the Flutey Feminist, and each week I consult my Instagram followers to choose a topic for a video. This week I asked them to choose between my 5 favorite books and 5 books that changed my life. They decided that I should talk about my 5 favorite books. I'm very excited about this because I love books and I love reading. But rest assured, I will cover the 5 books that changed my life at a later date, as well as do some other book reviews in the future. As you might imagine, there are so many books that are my favorite. You can check out my Goodreads profile, the link is below, and you'll see, I've separated them into fiction, nonfiction, and graphic novels, and there's just probably over 100 of my favorites from all those lists. But today I just wanted to talk about 5 books that have stuck with me and some of them that I've reread many times. I unfortunately own only 2 out of the 5, so some of them I just printed out a picture of the book cover, so just bear with me. And also they're in no particular order. I just randomly chose what order to talk to you about them. I'll try to make more sense as we keep this video going. So, book number 1 is The Undomesticated Goddess, written by Sophie Kinsella. She is the author of Confessions of a Shopaholic, which is a really popular book and movie. And you can see how used the book is. I have reread this many times. It's kind of my go-to when I want something uplifting and funny and entertaining to read, or if I'm not feeling great. It's about an overworked lawyer in London. Her name is Samantha, and she makes a huge mistake at work and somehow lands a job as a housekeeper. And of course, hilarity ensues. It's a British novel. I have always loved British humor. I think British writers are hilarious and they're amazing writers. And Kinsella is really, really great at pacing storylines. She really makes you not able to put books down. That's why this is one of my go-to books. One of my favorite parts, I'll be honest, there's a really great scene in the book where Samantha is slowly falling in love with the groundskeeper, Nathaniel, and they're picking strawberries or fruits in the garden, and it's just this really great pacing of they're really into each other, and they strip clothes off as they work, and it ends in sex, and it's just, honestly, it's for some reason one of the best things I've ever read in my life. You'd have to read it to understand. It was just really, really well written. I rated this 5 stars on Goodreads, but surprisingly I didn't review it. I usually review books on Goodreads. You can find some of my really old reviews that are really questionable in writing style, but yeah, surprisingly I didn't write anything about this, but 5 stars for sure. Number 2, we have a book called Swallowing Grandma by Kate Long. It's not really a well-known book or author that I'm aware of, and honestly I don't really remember why I bought it or where I bought it, probably chapters, but it's a really unique and heartfelt book and story. There's some edginess to it. It's also a British book, and it's about an 18-year-old girl named Catherine who lives with her grandmother, who is not the best caregiver. Catherine's father is dead, and her mother had left when she was, I think, a baby, or at least very young. So the story is basically a journey of finding out who she is. She discovers things about her family and her past along the way. And one of the things I really like about this book is that Catherine is described as fat, and she does initially want to change that. She doesn't love her body, so there's some internalized fat phobia there. But gradually, the fatness aspect becomes less and less important to her and to the storyline. And in the end, you realize that she just wants to fit in. She wants to be cool. She's young. And she also kind of realizes that her body is great and fine, and she can be cool even if she's fat, and all these really great things. So she learns to kind of put the fat phobia aside, which is refreshing. Also, she describes her attraction to other girls. And when I was younger and I read this, I had a lot of internalized homophobia still, and I was just kind of like, oh, no, that can't be what the author is implying. I'm gonna like pretend that the intent is different. So I kind of just tried to block that aspect out of my brain at the time. And so when I've reread it like later on in my life, I've been like, wow, this is so obvious. She's obviously into girls, and she's also maybe into guys as well. Anyways, it was just funny. I tried to like ignore that part of the book when I was younger because I had some issues to resolve. But I think it's a really refreshing book since it's a young adult novel. It's really, really different from YA in North America, which I've read a lot of. It's really not your typical YA novel. It's really cheeky, but also serious and heartfelt, and just the writing is different. I can relate to some aspects of the main character, namely the fact that she's more introverted. She wants to be popular, but at the same time she's okay, being alone and being quiet, and she's not, necessarily stereotypically pretty, or people aren't necessarily attracted to her. She doesn't have many friends and stuff like that. Her general, aura as a person, I can kind of relate to. So this is another one of my books that don't think I'll ever be able to give away. I also rated this 5 stars on Goodreads, but no review. I am shocked, or I was shocked as I was doing research on these books that I chose, that I never wrote anything on Goodreads about this, but it's great. And there were only like 673 ratings of this book, so go pick it up somewhere, if it still exists, and read it and review it on Goodreads, because it's awesome. All right, number 3. Now, the rest of the books I don't own, so I have just printed the covers. And I tried to find a picture of the cover of this book that wasn't blurry, but I literally couldn't. So there we have it. The book is Fun Home by Alison Bechdel. It's a graphic novel. And Bechdel, you may recognize the name. She's associated with the Bechdel test. I'll probably make a video about that at some point. So it's basically a memoir recounting her past with her father. So there's some trauma and like dark family secrets that she unpacks and talks about in this book. Her storytelling style, I find, is very similar to Mouse. That's also a pair of graphic novels that are definitely one of my favorites as well. Really, really, really powerful. So that's partly why I enjoyed reading this. I really, really love her honesty, her self-reflection, and also her drawing style. Whoa, didn't realize that was gonna be hard to say. Her drawing style. I think in this book, she also has another memoir that talks more about her relationship with her mother, called Are You My Mother? Which honestly is probably equally my favorite book to this one, so I've linked it below in the description box. But I think in either this one or the other one, or both, she talks about how she goes to therapy, and she includes pages of discussions with her therapist. So there's so much self-reflection going on, and just a lot of therapeutic things that she's working through, or trauma that she's working through with her therapist. So it's really fascinating. It's pretty dark, but worth it to read. Her story is really compelling. And I can relate to some aspects, the fact that she's Jewish and gay, I'm pansexual, also intense family dynamics. Can't we all relate to that? And just in case you want to know just a bit more, the reason it's called Fun Home is because her father owned a funeral home. I believe they lived in the same building as the funeral home, so she called it Fun Home. Kind of ironic. Yeah, it's a must read. I, once again, gave it 5 stars on Goodreads. Not surprising. Surprising that I didn't review it with words. Not sure why, but I'm doing it now. Read this. Sorry for the blurriness. All right, moving along. We have book number 4, which is We Were Feminists Once by Andy Zeisler. The smaller subtitle, there's a word for that. From Riot Girl to Cover Girl, the buying and selling of a political movement. Zeisler is the co-founder of Bitch Media, which is an amazing organization that has a magazine and articles online. She's also great at Twitter. If you follow her on Twitter, she posts and retweets really awesome things. It's a nonfiction book, and it explores the commodification of feminism, basically. So how feminism has been redefined over the years, basically to be palatable and consumerable. And it brings up so many good points. Like every page I was reading and I was like, oh my God, yes, that's such a good point. One of them being, you know, feminism is not meant to be fun, even though now sometimes it's packaged that way. It's a political movement. It's designed to make people uncomfortable so that social change can happen. She also talks about how feminism is not only about choice. You know, how people say, oh, women should just have the choice to do what they want or be who they want, etc. She explores the concept that, well, not everyone has access to all the same choices, and some choices have been proven to just be better for you than others, etc. It just is so, it addresses so many key issues about modern feminism, and the dangerous ways that capitalism and consumerism and the market have repackaged it to be able to, like I mentioned, make it palatable, which it should not be. Anyways, fantastic, fantastic book. I gave it 5 stars on Goodreads, and I gave it a review, finally. All right, I will read that review to you in case you care. So I read it, I think, over a year ago now. This is my review. Hands down, one of the best books I have ever read. A must-read for everyone, but certainly for those who call themselves feminists and who truly wish to take down systemic inequality and oppression, and who realize that what Zeisler terms marketplace feminism is a hindrance to those goals. I don't think there's that many books like this out there. I mean, obviously there's many books that talk about feminist issues, but this one, I hadn't really read anything so compact and descriptive as this, so definitely check this out. And for our final book today, we have Sister Outsider by Audre Lorde. It's essays and speeches that she wrote between the years 1976 and 1984. Lorde was a writer and activist. I absolutely love her work. I wrote a blog post actually about this collection that you can find below in the description box. Obviously, like her being a Black activist and woman, her writing is not necessarily meant for me, a white passing Jewish lady, but I have learned a lot from reading her work. She passed away, but she was constantly fighting for Black women and the gay community. She was a lesbian. So she really rejects the idea of pleasing the establishment to advance. She doesn't want to cater to white people in order to get any kind of rights or respect or that sort of thing. She talks a lot about white women and Black women's anger and how the two come together, sometimes not so nicely on the part of white women. And she also discusses the Black community, and she was really hoping that the Black community could come together to celebrate their differences, especially in terms of the LGBTQ community. She does a lot of self-reflection in her writing, as well as learning, and I was just astounded but not surprised at the writing and what she spoke about and how eloquent it is. That is not surprising. But it just is something, I think when you read her work, it will stick with you for a really, really long time. I do want to share some quotes because the ones I chose, you may have heard part of the quote. These are 3 pretty famous phrases, but I want to share with you the full quote, or as full as I can, without reading you the whole book, so that you can at least get a bit more context from the little phrases that have become pretty famous. So the first quote, "The white fathers told us, I think, therefore I am. The black mother within each of us, the poet, whispers in our dreams, I feel, therefore I can be free." I did at one point want to get a tattoo of I feel, therefore I can be free, but I think it's highly problematic of me to get a black woman's writing on my body. I might have to unpack that and see, but probably won't do that. Feels a bit appropriative. Next quote, "For the master's tools will never dismantle the master's house. They may allow us temporarily to beat him at his own game, but they will never enable us to bring about genuine change. And this fact is only threatening to those women who still define the master's house as their only source of support." Very poignant. Finally, another quote that I absolutely love. "I am not free while any woman is unfree, even when her shackles are very different from my own. And I am not free as long as one person of color remains chained, nor is any one of you." So I did, again, shocker of shockers, give this 5 stars on Goodreads. And thankfully, I wrote a review as well. Again, in case you care, here's my review. "An absolute necessary must read. I was constantly floored by Lord's wisdom, though by no means surprised. She spoke on so many things that we still discuss today. It's a travesty that the world hasn't moved more than an inch since she's been gone. But if we all looked to her work to move forward, I think we'd all move a bit quicker. Indispensable writing and writer." And I stand by that. You can actually donate to the Audre Lorde Project. I put a link below in the description box. It's an LGBTQ plus community organizing center, and I think they do really great work, so you can check out their social media and donate to them if you can. There we have it, 5 of my all-time favorite books. I hope you enjoyed this video of me reviewing stuff. Please, of course, let me know what some of your favorite books are in the comments below. You can friend me on Goodreads. Again, my profile is linked right under this video. Make sure to like and share this video with your friends so you can discover new books and talk about books. Maybe you hate one of the ones that I mentioned. I hope not, but you can let me know if you did. That's fine. And I'll definitely make more book review videos in the future because I realized how fun they are. So let me know if there's a specific topic or genre that you want me to review, and I will do that for sure. Please subscribe to my channel for more content. You can also follow me on social media. The links are always below in the description box. You can subscribe using this button here. You can also check out my flute performance video channel over here, and up here is my latest video. Thank you so much for watching, and have a flutey feminist day.